everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm Football from Game here, and today I'm doing a guide, I guess, video for Bloons Adventure on Tower Defense. We are doing top 10 abilities. So, I've done top 10 allies, I've done top 10 weapons, pretty sure I've done like top 25 trinkets or something like that. And today we're going to be doing top 10 abilities. So this was sort of a suggestion by someone. They actually asked me to do the top 10 like level 3, 5, and 7 abilities. Basically, they didn't want me to use abilities that use trinkets/weapons, but I decided, why not? Because that's more fun. So we will indeed be using those trinkets. We're just doing top 10 abilities, period, no restrictions. I guess a pseudo restriction, though, is we're not using glitches, like we're not taking into account glitches. So, for example, Plasma Goggles has all sorts of glitches associated with it. We're not going to count that. I'm just going to give this heads up. Plasma Goggles is not in this list. Maybe it could be, but probably not, because without the glitches, it's really not that great. It can maybe be used as a good DT killer, maybe, but it's really not that powerful. And just other things like that are not super great, so I'm not really considering them. For the most part, I'm just looking at my list here, pretty much all of these are damage-based. Obviously, there are some support abilities, but for the most part, pretty much every ability is based on damage. But let's just get into here. We are on this, ocean map simply because change of scenery, and I wasn't planning on doing this today, so I was planning on doing a different challenge. But regardless, let's start off with number 1, which I think you all know what it is. I'm going to Sam. You know what it is. It is the wonderful, the magnificent Phoenix Wand. Activate ability, summon the Phoenix. Its flaming breath destroys all balloons in its path. It's pretty insane, the summon Phoenix. It's a pretty insane ability. If you've seen a lot of my videos, I use it in. If you've tried it yourself, you know what I'm talking about. The ability, without any ability cooldown trinkets, is 100% uptime. Doesn't cancel out rounds, doesn't do anything weird like that. If you're pressing the ability as soon as it's ready, and you have no ability cooldowns, you will always have a Phoenix. Always. That in itself is pretty powerful. That's nice, an infinite bonus. It's not really an ability at that point, it's just an extra thing you have. But on top of that, it naturally has camo and lead popping power, so it can naturally pop DTs. Only things it can't pop are purple balloons, but that means it can pop ghost balloons. It has pretty insane attack speed, and I'm gonna say this, pretty sure, not positive, but I'm like 90% certain that its damage actually gets buffed by damage adding trinkets. May sound very strange, but it's true. You gotta believe me on that. Or not. You can, if you know that to be true/false, definitely say so, but I'm pretty much positive that it gets damage buffs, because if not, I've seen this thing one-shot with a single bit of flame, a zebra, or a rainbow, which is absurd levels of damage, which although powerful, I don't think it has that normally, so we'll see. Maybe it's not, but I think it actually does get applied with damage buffs, so, it's pretty darn powerful, is basically the point. But anyways, we spent a lot of time on number 1, so let's get to number 2. It is... Okay, so the next ability on this list is Princess Bubblegum's... What's it called? It's called, Bubblegum... What? Seriously, what's it called? Jelly Beans have power. I completely forgot about that. Jelly Beans have power ability, sprays a jet of balloon popping jelly beans, and then it gets upgraded to attack does increase explosive damage through the Soda and Mints upgrade, which is the only reason it's any good, because originally Jelly Beans have power is a mediocre instant damage ability that's not that great, but does have pretty much full map range, and I think can shoot through structures. Definitely pretty high damage, but once you get the level 7 ability, Soda and Mints, PB can basically solo the entire game as long as she has her ability up. It has full map range, rapid attack speed, area of effect damage for high Pier, stuff like that. Insane damage, can melt a bad balloon, has all balloon popping power. It's really, really good. So, yeah, it's really good. And, yeah. The Moab, the good old mother of all pineapples, a truly epic weapon. I wasn't planning on that, but that's its description, and that's really epic, so great. So it has all sorts of good things. Gives extra damage, has some pierce boost, 50% blast radius increase, blah blah. Pretty nice weapon. Activated ability, destroy all balloons. It's not really lying except for the one random reason that it can't do any damage to bad balloons. So it's not actually a one-shot, obviously, that would be kind of broken. What the Moab does is it does, I want to say like 3 to 4, maybe 5,000 damage to every single balloon on screen. I don't know why I've never actually checked this before. It's a pretty much an instantaneous ability. It pops all balloon types. It's not like, oh, I can't pop a black balloon, oh no. The cooldown isn't short, but it's not super long. But the main reason it's so good is it one-shots DDTs and even fortified DDTs, which is just really, really good. Another thing is, unlike the next one on this list, you may be knowing what I'm talking about now, it will pop through layers. It will turn a BFB to nothing, a Moab to nothing, fortified DT to nothing. There's 12 fortified DTs, all stacked on top of each other, about to exit. You use the ability, they're all gone, you're fine. Super duper powerful, super duper helpful, and it's actually a pretty good weapon, unlike the Phoenix Wand, so that's a pretty big bonus. Most of the things here that have, like, that are weapons, which I don't know if there's any other left, but if there are, just, yeah. They're not nearly as good. Like, Fin Sword, I guess, is pretty good, but a lot of these aren't that powerful, so it's a kind of nice bonus, mostly just a super powerful ability. But anyways, on to the one I was briefly mentioning there. Dungeon Finn, he has 2 insanely good abilities. One of them, the one I'm talking about, is Inferno. Ability activates a massive burst of damaging fire. It's a lot of damage. I want to say less damage than the Moab, but not by a ton. It can once again pop all balloon types. Pretty sure it can pop purple balloons. It might not be able to pop purple balloons, but I'm almost positive it can. Lots of damage, pretty darn good damage. Potentially more, but it's a little hard to tell. Big issue with it, the big thing that makes it tremendously worse, because I'm pretty sure it actually has a significantly shorter cooldown. But realistically, what the big issue is that it doesn't pop through layers. So if you pop a fortified DT, it's turning to fortified regen ceramics. Camo regen ceramics, which unfortunately, if they're about to exit, you will still lose. So that's a big part of the reason why it's so much worse. It's also the fact that it technically doesn't have full map range, unlike the Moab. Did I mention that? Moab has full map range. It's really powerful. But unfortunately, Inferno does not. However, even still, the mere ability to do absurd amounts of damage and pop an entire layer of pretty much everything on screen is super good. Not to mention, Inferno does have this slight added bonus that it works on bad balloons. Again, I don't know if it's that significant, the fact that it works on bad balloons, but it's something, so it's pretty good. So the next one is not here, my mistake. We're back on C4 Charlie, this time for one of his natural abilities. It is the Moab Assassin. Ability targets largest Moab for massive damage. Pretty accurate. So it's a pretty accurate description, obviously. It does a lot of damage. I want to say like 3,000 damage to a single target. Almost one-shots as EMG. Does pretty significant damage to bad balloons, fortified bad balloons, stuff like that. But the main reason it's so good is because it is one of the only, and when I say one of the only, I mean one of the only upgrades, or not upgrades, abilities in the entire game that's ready when you buy it. If you place a C4 Charlie, you buy longer range, attack speed, Moab Mauler, Moab Assassin, use the Moab Assassin, sell C4 Charlie, and repeat. You can do that over and over and over again until you run out of money, which won't happen very often because even in general, it's not that expensive. Buying these for upgrades, obviously Moab Assassin, basically covers all of the cost times 2, but it's still not that expensive, so it easily allows you to destroy bad balloons and fortified bad balloons that you're naturally struggling with. I'm not super fast with micro, but especially if you play on PC, it's really fast. You can do it. You can get a lot of damage off. Not super great for sending the clones, unlike the other 3 on this list so far, but definitely super helpful if you're struggling with your first couple fortified bad balloon maps, or just a map you're struggling with in general, like if you're doing Curse Mirrors and Popple, for example. It helps. You put it on slow mode, you use this a ton, it helps you pop the layer a little bit faster, so you can work on dealing with the DTs and ZMGs a little bit faster. So the next thing on this list is back to Dungeon Finn. Final time, I promise, but as you can see, these 2 have some pretty darn good abilities on them, and in this case, actually very similar abilities too. First 2 were both massive area attack effects, and these next 2 are massive single target effects. In this case, Focused Fire. Ability activates a continuous stream of concentrated flame. Big understatement. It does, in total, probably around 15,000 damage to one target. Over, I want to say, the course of about a minute in-game. So it's like a minute in-game. About a minute, so it's like 20 seconds if you're on fast forward. It's not instantaneous, obviously, but it's pretty fast. It's definitely not that slow. And overall, it does a lot of damage, like a lot of damage. It can be combined with Moab Assassin to just melt a bad balloon so quickly, at least that initial layer. And the combination of the two towers is actually pretty good at dealing with the insides too. Or one of them has Moab or Inferno, for example. One thing I will mention though, between Desert Fin and C4 Charlie, is that the fact that C4 Charlie's ability is from a weapon means that you can have the Moab and Moab Assassin ready, but the issue with that is obviously you sell me by Moab Assassin. You don't have Moab up ready, which makes sense because that would be super broken. I think it actually used to be that way though, that as soon as you play C4 Charlie with Moab, you had the ability, but it is not the case anymore, so not a big deal. That is just a bit of an issue. Doesn't really affect this ranking much, but it's something I thought I'd mention. Anyways, we're on to, wait a sec, I messed this up. So I do this a little bit with my list. I have a smallish, you know what, never mind. I'm not going to talk about this. I'm just going to cut this section out, and I'll move on to the next one because I will have edited something in to fix this. Okay, so we're on to the next ability. The next ability is, drum roll please, I don't know why I paused there. It's Sai the Shadow Clone. It is activated ability. Sai creates a shadow clone of herself. It's the Mask of Shadows ability. It's pretty good. Gives a shadow clone pretty good ability cooldown, and by that I mean like ability uptime. Lasts between rounds, which is super nice because a lot of abilities don't. And it's just a really good ability. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. It helps out a lot since it has a pretty powerful tower, so it works out pretty well. On to the next ability. We are heading over to Super Monkey himself. We have, of course, the True Sun God ability. For whatever reason, I expected to say the name. Ability, absorb 4 nearby superfans, converting for short time into the all-powerful Sun God. Quite powerful, sort of. It's not that good, but because this trinket exists, the Dark Temple Idol, as you can see, it's a really bad ability because this thing gives it double range, plus 5 damage, and double the number of lasers. So basically, over double damage and full map range. Those are the buffs they had to give it using a single trinket to make it a worthwhile use. Because otherwise the ability kind of sucked. But it's pretty good with this, and it's super powerful, but it is kind of expensive. And honestly, potentially not as high up on this list as it should be. But anyways, it's not that big of a deal. It's a decent ability, it's just not that incredible. On to the next one. This one's, I don't know. I'm putting it here. I'm putting Rock out the ability. Attack the balloons with the power of rock. It's not bad. Not bad at all. But initially, it kind of sucks. The main reason that makes it better is, A, you can get this stupidly expensive upgrade of Fame to give a small, almost insignificant attack speed boost to characters nearby while the ability's up, which is something, I guess. But mostly, there's Fortune. Balloons pop by the rock on attack, drop cash bundles. It's sporadic and it's random if you've seen my test video for it, but you can easily make hundreds of thousands of dollars in a single round, which nothing else can really do. So I gotta give credit to it. It's pretty insane. So because of that, it has to be mentioned. But yeah, so that's not actually last place. That is the second last place. I realized I haven't been giving numbers for these, have I? That may be saving me for my editing mistake. At this point, you would have seen it at the beginning, but what actually happened is I forgot to include PB's ability, so I apologize about that. Or I did it flawlessly, and I just ratted myself out, but yeah. On to the final ability, regardless. It is the Fire Elemental. Transform into a deadly Fire Elemental for Flame Princess. It's just really powerful. I think this one does end between rounds, but overall, the ability uptime is pretty good. It gives extra damage, or not extra damage, insane attack speed. She shoots fireballs like crazy. She still has her flamethrower attack, I believe. Obviously at this point she'll have camo, well actually not guaranteed camo. She'll have lead popping power and probably camo protection. And she also gets a pretty good melee attack. It's a powerful ability, it looks really epic. And it's pretty cheap, so overall, I definitely have to put this. It definitely deserves something good. There may have been better abilities for this list. I didn't put it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I only spent like 10 or 15 minutes working on, like, ordering these abilities. It's not like I spent a full hour on this, so if you have suggestions, changes, things you're like, hey, I think this should be here, leave a comment. I might say, like, yep, I completely forgot about that ability, you were definitely right, or I didn't think about that use, it works better here. And if you really want to ask me, if you give me some suggestions that I'm really like, oh yeah, I made a big mistake, I might even make a part 2 to this. We'll see. If I feel I completely did a horrible job, I'll revisit this. But I think I remember most abilities. I don't think I forgot anything all that crazy. I do apologize about the PB slip-up. I completely forgot the ability existed, and then after I finished my list, I just deleted what was number 10 and plopped it on at top. Originally, number 10 was Sam's Meteor Storm. That's like an honorable mention. I'll go to that. Sam's Meteor Storm, honorable mention, not bad. Definitely a powerful ability. Lots of damage, and sunlocks a balloon. Call down a mighty balloon, poppin' Meteor Storm. But yeah, so I did mess that up. I do apologize about that. But overall, just thank you guys for watching. Consider giving the video a like if you enjoyed, and subscribing to join the Purple Elephant Squad. I really appreciate it. It's really nice, and it's just great. Thank you guys for still watching. Thank you guys for being a part of the channel. If you're still watching, you are in the small, I don't know, 5-10%. So that's really cool. That's really great. And I just want to say thanks. So, yeah, have a wonderful day. I will see you all tomorrow, and bye.